leaving skid marks where others fail to tread. The Kung Fu Hot Dog Ragecast.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't say I did not warn you about the Fantastic Four. Yes, my initial reactions were, it looks pretty in places, but this is not the Tim Story Fantastic Four from 2005 to 2007 retrospectively. And I'm going to get into those films in a minute or make reference to them. But today, courtesy of cosmicbook.news, this is, well, the film, it seems, is in a lot of trouble at the moment because they had a test screening recently for family and friends, and it seems, folks, nobody was at all impressed. And you think maybe the reprobate here they called Pedro Pascal is the sole reason why this test screening failed, and it's not him, even though he's the wrong complete casting for Reed Richards, the all-white American dude from the 60s Stan Lee comics. Nope, it's not him. It is, of course, Sue Storm and female Silver Surfer. They saved the day. They solved the problem in this test screening, apparently, and nobody is buying it. And why am I not surprised? But without further ado, folks, if you end up liking this video, give it a smash, give it a like, and here we go. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, and this is him celebrating his exit from the season 2 of The Last of Us. And he's holding a multicolored lightsaber. I can't show you the full video because YouTube will definitely flag it for lewd conduct, and who can blame them, because what Pedro does in his clip afterwards is pretty disgusting, and even I can't believe this gentleman is allowed to be called an actor. A so-called attendee of the Fantastic Four First Steps test screening is pushing back on the recent online backlash, calling out misinformation and clarifying what actually happened, which I think is pretty funny. So with the news that Marvel is skipping Comic-Con, which is in itself very funny because it means they have no confidence in the product. And yeah, you're going to get the shills turning up at Comic-Con going, oh, Kevin Feige, we worship you, we love you. But there will be people, dissenters in the audience, who will be booing Kevin from afar, and who can blame them? If I was allowed to go to Comic-Con, I would do the same thing as well. The trades have confirmed it. The secret screening of Fantastic Four was recently held at the Regal Long Beach, which is cool. I went to Long Beach back in the day. It's a fantastic place in the early 90s when Terminator 2 was already a thing out there. And it was attended by Kevin Feige and director Matt Shakman, who after this will be referred to as Shankman because he should end up in prison for his crimes against the cinema. Recent reports painted the Marvel reboot as a disaster in the making, with viral claims and clowns alleging that audience members were vocal or even screamed mid following the movie. So in other words, they were saying mid during the end credits. But now someone claiming to be the original source of those stories has come forward to clarify what's real and what's been twisted. Nobody screamed mid. That's just fake. The test screener posted on social media stating that he shared a story on Discord about a guy next to him who calmly called the movie mid, not someone screaming it at the screen like some insiders have claimed. So we have all of that, and there's female Silver Surfer, folks, who looks even more flat-chested in this still image than she did in the comics. But then again, my recollection of Shala Bal, whatever her bloody name is in the comics, is so distant. I just think of Norrin Rad, and that's it. Mixed but not a mess. Now, what I've heard is that, well, anyway, Reed Richards doesn't do any crazy shape shifting, which is a shame. The whole point about that character, especially in the 1967 cartoons, he does all sorts of metamorphosizing in those things, and I thought he was fantastic. And that cartoon series, by the way, is just magic. It was also noticed from the test screening that the four main actors don't have any character development whatsoever. Now, when you go back to the Tim Story films from 2005 and 2007 retrospectively, all the actors had a time to shine with their characters, what they were going through, having a banter with each other, embracing the audience. If you don't own it, you should get out and do it. The Thing doesn't have his classic Brooklyn accent. I said his accent was very mid. It was like he's just mumbling and grumbling, and it doesn't make any sense. Why did you cast an actor like him to be the Thing if he can't deliver the vocal goods? It means that guy doesn't read the comics or even watch the cartoons to understand what Ben Grimm, the Thing, is all about.
I'll clobber a hole in this birdcage. Ow!
But what's really funny here, guys, because we got all this stuff, again, Sue Storm saving the day along with Silver Surfer. I said in the previous reaction about the Fantastic Four trailer that I bet she teams up with female Silver Surfer to bring down Galactus, who apparently is amazing in the movie with his visuals. It looks like Jack Kirby's famous iteration from the comics, but apparently they still dull down the colors when it should be bright and breezy and brash and everything else. So again, they just don't know, do they, Marvel?
You have aroused the wrath of mighty Galactus!
But I want to look at Grace Randall's reaction here. She's actually upgraded from 720p to 1080p to, I guess, still look ageless on the screen. And it's very interesting what she says here, because she wasn't that impressed. She went to the test screening, and I want to see what she actually says here, because I haven't seen the full excerpt, what she mentioned. So let's have a look. All right.
I don't like to directly spoil things. I think that's uncool.
So it's kind of funny that Grace says that, because she spoiled the whole thing about Matt. I forgot the guy's name now. Matt, the guy who was directing Batman 2, how he's got an illness, and she actually let that slip, and she got roasted for it. So it's pretty funny, actually. But let's carry on, guys.
But the first thing we want to talk about is they had a Fantastic Four test screening. They just had a Fantastic Four test screening. And so some people, I think, might wonder, why have a test screening now? And usually Disney and Marvel do their test screenings for friends and family to try and control spoilers. Only they learned that does not work. I think they're probably a little bit nervous about the film. I wouldn't have test screened it because a whole bunch of stuff leaked about it, which I'm about to kind of go over with you. And I'm I really feel that the movies should work as hard as they possibly can to protect spoilers. I think, I don't think One More Day.
But Grace, the whole point about people who go to preview screenings, the spoilers are going to go out there anyway. They're not signing an NDA, so people should just go out there and if they're genuinely displeased about a film, then just go and do it. I don't care. I'm not going to go and watch this film at the cinema. Why should I? Good grief. Oh, but funny, there is a toy out there with Sue Storm or Sue Richards holding baby Franklin Richards, and he's a white kid, so that's good.
Then I'm very worried about the MCU situation. A lot of us don't like that term, which has really.
But you use it.
It's a very effective term. It has really taken hold. And I do think there are some instances, where Marvel has leaned into it to such a degree that, it's hard not to use that as a description when you're like, but, like, what do you want from me, man? If it was better balanced, you wouldn't be able to use that. So I don't like the term, but I don't like the fact that Marvel continues to give certain groups the ability to use it. I think at this point that Marvel would be able to get out ahead of things and understand when they were going to run smack into the MCU allegation. And I was quite surprised.
It's not an allegation. It's a fact, Grace. Come on.
To learn from this test screening. And, I don't know. They could change things. I don't think it's too late to change anything. I mean, it would be very late for last-minute reshoots. Okay.
Although apparently that's what's happening at the moment. This has gone down so terribly. They are actually doing reshoots. The film opens after Superman, the James Gunn Superman. I'll be talking about that in a short while too in my next video. But honestly, I don't see the Fantastic Four First Steps doing any kind of business at the cinema. It'll probably make the same amount of money as Thunderbolt, which, by the way, I did see on its second week of release at the cinema. It was okay. The first half is absolutely terrible. Yelena, played by what's-her-face, Florence Pugh, is walking around like she's got the answers to everything, when in fact Wyatt Russell, who plays US Agent, not the Captain America knockoff, but the best Captain America we have so far, actually comes up with solutions. And then she's like, oh yeah, of course. And he's the guy that's got survival instincts, whereas his other comrades, the female comrades, have none whatsoever. It's really funny as well when there's a scene where they're all out in the desert, and again, a US agent actually knows how to keep the rest of his team alive and not dying of thirst. And it's like Yelena and Ghost are like, oh, okay, thank you. He always gets berated by his female colleagues, but yet he always stands up for himself, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And Marvel has this problem of creating good male characters again. If they're white, they're a problem. But if they're female and they're white, they're not a problem. So how does that solve anything? It doesn't. And also, Marvel doesn't embrace the sexiness of female characters from the comics translated onto the big screen. It's just an awful misstep, and it's not doing anything. Give the guys what they want, what they appreciate from the comics on the big screen, Kevin Feige. How is that such a difficult thing to do? But apparently for you, it's very difficult. And honestly, I have no faith at all in this film going forwards. But if you enjoyed this video today, folks, make sure you leave a like down below, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll catch you catching me for the return of the next video.